So Mark, tell me about Flatten Conditional.
Sure, Rory. Flatten conditional takes an if statement, nested if statements, if else statements, and if it can find a way to reduce the lines of code or to unindent that main deeply indented block of code that might be at the child of several nested parenting if statements, it will unindent that. It's basically a code simplifier, and it has a number of different. Uh, mechanisms for flattening, and I've got some example code that kind of illustrates some of these. The first one here is I've got just an empty else block, and sometimes this happens in the process of refactoring. You decide, oh, I want to take something out or whatever. You don't have it there. You really thought you may have needed it, and now you don't. And you can use flatten conditional right up there at the top on that. Just hit the CodeRush key, put the caret. By the way, for all of these, the availability on this is the same. You put the caret on the if keyword. And I just put the caret on the if keyword, I hit the CodeRush key, and I choose Flatten Conditional. And then you can see the preview hint there. I'll do this again, I'll undo it so you can see it. The Flatten Conditional, and you can see in the background there, I'm just holding the control key down to hide the CodeRush menu. It's just crossing out the code here that's going to get rid of. That's all that's happening there. And so that's one version of Flatten Conditional.
So that's a nice simple example to start with. Good.
Here's another one. Actually, if we're going to do this in order of complexity, let me skip this one. I'll come back to this in a second. I'll do this one. This is the next simplest level of Flatten Conditional. And here I have if an expression, return 1, otherwise return 0. And I could actually, since I'm actually ending this block here with a return statement, I don't need this else statement. Right, so in fact, I could even come in here and change this, add some block delimiters around this. We can imagine that this was a very big block of code, something along those lines. But as long as it ends with some kind of return, then coming in here, I can come in here and choose Flatten Conditional, and you can see if I hold the control key down, it's going to take out that else statement right there. So we'll go ahead and do that, and there you can see it kind of taking that other piece. We just saved one line of code there. Let me undo this just a bit. I'm going to take out those changes I made, and we'll just start it here so you can see the same effect here. Flatten Conditional. There's the preview hint. Go ahead and choose it, and it looks like that. Just taking out that else, that unnecessary else. Bumping up a bit in complexity, we'll come up here. One of my favorite uses of Flatten Conditional, sometimes you have code that looks like this. If some complex expression, return true, otherwise return false. Or you might have like the opposite of this, where you might have return false, else return true. If that's the case, you can just come in here, you can hit the CodeRush key, choose Flatten Conditional, and it'll give you that. Right?
Nice.
Yeah, I love this. I use this all the time because a lot of times as you're writing code, you're thinking, oh, if it's this, I want to return true. Oh, then I want to return false. And then you realize, oh, oops, should have been, I should have been maybe thinking way ahead, which I don't always do sometimes, right? I don't always do when I'm coding. So that's a nice one. And then down over here, this is another one. Sometimes, I know that when I was a beginning programmer, I used to write code that looked a lot like this, where I had, expression, just conditional expression, nested. And then the body.
Arrow code.
Arrow code?
Classic arrow code, yeah. Points to the right.
Yes. And then, yeah, the essence of my method body is right here, but it's far indented off to the right. In fact, the deeper this goes, the harder it is to read. And so what I'll do now is I just come up here, hit the CodeRush key, and I'll choose Flatten Conditional. And what it's going to do, you can see in the preview hint, is that it's actually reversing this conditional expression and returning instead of continuing to be, nested.
That's cool.
In fact, if you've read Martin Fowler's book, this particular version of the refactoring is called Replace Nested Conditional with Guard Clause. And it's a great refactoring. It essentially says, hey, look, we can clearly tell that this is a guard clause here. And I'm repeating this all the way down. And notice what happens, right? The block of code that was deeply indented suddenly becomes what I would call a first-class citizen. And it's clear now that this is what the code is. By the way, okay, I know that I'm not supposed to talk about other refactorings, but there's one related refactoring in here. I see the code like this. I got to do it. Come in here and I'm going to choose combined conditionals. There'll be another video on that that'll talk about that. But I can take all that, put it on one block like this. And now here's my essence of my code.
Excellent. So we just take any one of these conditionals, we place the caret on the if statement itself, and it should just be available to us there to just simplify and make our code more readable.
Yes, that's right. If there's a way to do it, we'll be able to do it. Flatten conditional right there. Yeah, it just takes it out like that. And yeah, this is one of my more frequently used refactorings in production code.
Great stuff, Mark. Thanks very much.